Hero Card Association, all kinds of weird stuff there at the water tower. And on the left, at the pumping station, that is now the home of the Looking Glass Theater, run by David Schwimmer of Friends fame. Remember him?
Yes.
Did you ever watch Friends?
Yes.
Why?
Hey, it's Rich. I'll be there in just under 10 minutes with 22 people. Yeah.
All right, everybody. And now we're going to get up to Ontario and take a right-hand turn. And earlier I showed you the Chicago Historical Society's current location. Now let me show you their previous location, built in 1892, a granite castle, which they vacated in 1931 to move uptown, and then was put to other uses. Finally became a nightclub. First the Limelight, now the Excalibur. It's coming up on the right in the distance, and you'll see the neon spelling out the name Excalibur in orangey neon just up ahead. I've done many theme parties there over the years, and I've been very interested in hearing what the staff tells me about the ghostly goings-on. For instance, you might hear your name called by a disembodied voice. You go to check, there's nobody there. The voice that calls your name is the voice of someone you know, but they are miles away at the time. Could not have been calling your name when you heard it. In other words, the ghost can play head games. A trickster ghost. Pretty strange. Then down in the basement storage room, boxes and crates are heard moving around. You get a key, go inside, there's nobody there. So if there's nobody in that room and you got the only access, the only key, who's moving the boxes and crates around seconds before? Rats on steroids? Not too likely. Then, finally, in the woman's washroom, sorry ladies, down in the basement, that's where a cold spot comes up the wall, moves around, goes on the wall, comes out somewhere else. The fact that that cold spot can move, you could rule out anything as mundane as cold water pipes or frozen ground as the explanation. All that and more takes place here on the right in the current Excalibur building. But check it out. Granite Castle, built in 1892. Fabulous old building. Thank God they haven't torn it down yet for any kind of high-rise or whatever. Here it is. Great old building. Stay sober. Check it out some night at a party. And when the music stops, things quiet down, check out the ghosts. Okay, we'll take a left-hand turn now into Clark Street. Well, I should also point out, people ask me, why is the Excalibur so haunted? My best bet is because in this particular area, 250 to 300 people died during the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. 250 to 300 may not seem like a lot, but it was pretty devastating here for frontier Chicago back in those days. And that's my best bet for why it's so haunted. No, they did not bring bodies here for the 1915 Eastland steamship disaster, which some people have stated here in this town. But their history is all skewed, it's all wrong. I'll tell you more about the Eastland later on. But now we're going to swing left on Clark and go to Hubbard and take Hubbard East. And now we're on our way, hot and heavy, to the fabulous Billy Goat. The Billy Goat Bar and Grill. This is quite a find, but you've got to have somebody take you here the first time usually because it's so hard to locate, being at Lower Michigan, Lower Hubbard. Just remember how to get here. And when you get here tonight, you get a chance to walk down a flight of stairs, one flight further down from Lower Michigan, Lower Hubbard, one flight further down into the basement to a real interesting spot with real history, not this bogus plastic Bennigan's and Rainforest Cafe type stuff. The real history of Chicago lives on here. On our way to the Billy Goat, down Hubbard, we'll soon see the criminal courthouse building, now privatized, called Courthouse Place. And Courthouse Place, well, that's where, for instance, the trials took place of the female killers whose stories were featured in the Bob Fosse musical Chicago, and later the movie with Richard Gere and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Did anybody see that movie or see the stage play?
Yes.
Okay. And how about the 1924 Leopold and Loeb trial? That was a crime of the century when Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, two university students from the South Side from Hyde Park, kidnapped and murdered their neighbor Bobby Franks because they read Nietzsche and thought they were Supermen and could pull off the crime, a perfect crime. Of course, they did not. They left a trail of clues like breadcrumbs leading right back to them. And they were defended by Clarence Darrow, the so-called attorney for the damned. He was the Johnny Cochran of his day back then. And it was Clarence Darrow who was defending them, so many thought they'd get off scot-free because they had a fabulous mouthpiece here, except he was no match for the prosecuting state's attorney, my cousin Robert E. Crowe. And they did get convicted, and they were sentenced to life plus 99 years at Joliet Penn. Well, it didn't last that long because Dickie Loeb, for instance, was propositioning another inmate in a shower when he was stabbed to death. And the journalists at the time because they wanted to poke fun at the fact that Loeb claimed to be such a master of the English language and such a genius, said this was the first time that Dickie Loeb ever ended a sentence with a proposition. We do remember our English grammar rules, don't we? All right. And as for Nathan Leopold, he eventually was released, despite the fact that he was never to be released. He was sentenced to life plus 99 years for a reason. He later got out of prison, married, used to beat the crap out of his wife, was a real nasty drunk and a so-and-so, but he later died, but he never did his full time. In fact, he later wrote an autobiography called Life Plus 99 Years. Well, the Bachelorette to the right of the Baton Club. You know what that is, right? Female impersonator club? Yeah. Great place to pick up chicks, though. All right. Hey, they're in the audience, not the ones on stage. Okay, let's swing to the left here. Now, what do you notice about the criminal courthouse building coming up on your immediate left? Well, it's pale yellow Lamont limestone, the same building material that you saw earlier at the water tower, from a quarry that's now played out southwest of Chicago. So a lot of old-time buildings in Chicago are built from that yellow stone. Flanking the front door, the American flag and the city of Chicago flag. You know the history of the Chicago flag. You know what the flag represents? The three white stripes are the north side, south side, and the west side. There is no east side, it's the lake. The two blue stripes represent the north and south branch of the Chicago River. The four red stars represent the Fort Dearborn Massacre, the Chicago Fire, the 1893 World's Fair, the 1933-34 Century of Progress World's Fair. In other words, if we get the Olympics, we'll probably have a fifth star added to the flag. What do you think about the Olympics?
Yes.
Think we're going to get them?
Yes.
Do you think it's going to be good?
Yes.
We've had two World Fairs.
Yes.
Well, look at it this way. We had two World Fairs in Chicago, right? We had 1893, and that's when Mayor Carter Harrison was shot and killed by a disgruntled office seeker, Prendergast. We had the 1933-34 World's Fair. The mayor who set that up was Anton Cermak, shot and killed when standing next to Franklin Delano Roosevelt in Miami in 1932, right after the election. Does that mean that every time we have an international huge event, the mayor in office dies? I'm only pointing out, you know, I'm Jack Webb, just the facts here. I'm just giving you the history. Let you draw the conclusions and connect the dots. Okay. All I do is give you the facts, let you make up your own mind. Straight up, we're going to be at the Billy Goat. And you're going to see some great neon there in the windows. You're going to have a chance to get some very interesting photographs. You have cameras on board. Make sure you bring them inside to the Billy Goat. Fabulous spot. Now, here's how it's going to work. We have time for food. We have time for drink. And what I will do is give you a 5-minute warning when it's time to come back on board. When I say 5 minutes, please, that means go back to the bus. Not, oops, I want to get another burger. Oops, I want to go to the washer. In other words, pace yourself. Because we are on a schedule to... we got people waiting for us here at the Billy Goat, specific time, and later at Chinatown, specific time. So we want to stay on schedule.
What did you say the 4-star was? Which massacre?
The first star was the Fort Dearborn Massacre. Second star was the Chicago Fire. Third star, fourth star were the two World's Fairs. Okay. 1893 and 1933-34. Yeah, you better remember that. It might be a quiz question later on, right? Up ahead, you can start to see the signage for the Billy Goat. Billy Goat Tavern and Grill. And under the overhang there, we'll find the Billy Goat. What do you want tonight here, Gaston?
Oh, yeah, the regular. Double cheese. Double cheese.
Double cheese. Two buses, two coaches. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. The pub sign out in front says Billy Goat Tavern established 1934. I want to come around park on the other side. Yeah. Okay, we've got a lot of visitors tonight. I don't know if they're all down here in the Billy Goat, but we'll be able to work our way in here in a moment on the left, but be careful crossing the street.
drop us here, and then you can pull around the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's going to drop us here and pull around the other side of the building. If you want to leave anything on board, he'll lock it up for you.
Go.
There's a trash. Is there a trash?
Yeah, yeah.
This is your purse, will you? One thing I don't want to leave in here. I've been programming it all.